off of the lows. We were down, of course, more than 100 points. Currently, the Dow down about 55. We are getting some flashes out of Reuters citing Speaker Boehner, saying that he is still optimistic that the Republicans and the president can reach a deal over the fiscal cliff, not adding anything too specific, but saying that once again, Republicans willing to put revenue on the table if, in fact, they're met with entitlement cuts. Oklahoma Congressman Jim Lankford is the incoming Republican Policy Committee chairman. A member of the House Budget Committee has signed the anti-tax pledge, and he joins us this morning from Washington. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning.
I don't need to tell you, the markets are in sort of a tenuous phase here where, I mean, a very amorphous comment from the speaker takes the market up 50 points. Where do you think we are?
That's the frustration with this. In the House, we actually passed all of our tax policy and all the sequestration documents in May of this year. So we've been waiting on the Senate. The Senate said we'll see you after the election. So we had hoped that this would have been settled a very long time ago.
We're beginning to see some senators at least bend on longstanding pledges that they signed with Grover Norquist. People who are still skeptical about a deal say, well, what really matters is the House. And the House is not showing that same level of flexibility, call it whatever you want. Is that fair? Are Republicans in the House? You're from Oklahoma, obviously a red state. Are you as resolute as you've always been?
I am. Here's the issue. The tax rate has never been the solution on it. There's a couple things to keep in mind here. One is the Obamacare taxes kick in January the 1st. There are three aspects of that fiscal cliff. The third aspect is the Obamacare taxes that are coming. So there's a 3.8% increase on capital gains, on dividends, on interest income for people making $200,000 or more. That's already coming. That's baked in the cake. What the president wants is an additional tax increase, rate increase on the same group of people. He's already put a rate increase coming on in January. We're pushing back and saying they're already taking a hit in January based on the Obamacare taxes. Why are we talking about a double tax rate increase? The second thing is, remember, in 2007, we spent $1 trillion less than what we spent this year. But the revenue is almost identical, 2007 to this year. So the issue is not can we raise more taxes. The issue is we've increased spending $1 trillion. And our simple push is to say, why aren't we looking at spending? That's been the major issue. We can't just keep raising taxes perpetually and saying we'll just keep raising taxes as long as we raise spending. We're overspending, and we've got to deal with that first. And I'm a little astounded. Everyone's looking at the congressional Republicans saying, hey, what are you going to do on taxes? No one seems to be looking at the Democrats saying, what are you going to do on spending?
Congressman, are you able to help us understand what is going on behind the scenes at the moment physically? Because world markets moved yesterday when Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid said he was disappointed with the progress that was being made. So we assumed that not a lot was happening. But now, and one of the reasons why we've jumped 50 points on the Dow, we've cut our losses by 50 points on the Dow, is because Senator Hatch is suggesting that the Democrats and the GOP may be only $23 billion apart in some sort of deal. Now, are we actually at that sort of granular detail of discussion behind the scenes?
No, I don't think we are at that level of discussion. A lot of it's still preliminary for what is the framework, what's the number, what are we trying to accomplish, and how we're going to try to get there. Now, there is great optimism. We just left a meeting with the Speaker. The Speaker reiterated again, we feel like we can get a deal. We can try to do this. This is not something that's brand new to us. This is something that started last June that we tried to work on for a year and a half now. And then, as I said, the House already passed all the documents we needed in April and May of this year. So we are waiting on the Senate to say, what is your response and how are we going to deal with this? The pressure is now being applied. And quite frankly, the focus of sequestration was to make Congress do its work. This is making Congress do its work.
Oh, well, that's reassuring. Mitt Romney is going to have lunch with the president tomorrow. Does that weigh on you at all? Does that move the ball?
No, that really doesn't affect us one way or the other on it. It's a good gesture to be able to have, but that doesn't affect where we are in the House and where we are in the Senate.
Because it has been suggested that maybe the White House is building what one person called a team of rivals.
That'd be great to see on it. What we need is a team of solutions at the end of the day on this one. We've got lots of rival voices out there. We just don't seem to have a lot of solutions that are coming out.
Congressman, before the president meets business leaders this afternoon at 4:45 Eastern, Speaker Boehner is going to meet those business leaders, Goldman Sachs, so on and so forth. Is there any point to those meetings? Do they achieve anything? Is there added value from this, or is this just FaceTime?
A lot of it's just FaceTime. A lot of those folks we've already visited with on the phone. We've already got comments back and forth from. We already know what's really coming out of the meeting. There'll also be meetings with small business owners tomorrow as well. to continue to focus on what are the key areas. And what we continue to hear from these folks are we have to solve the deficit crisis and the debt crisis that has to be settled, and no one thinks that can be done just with tax increases. Even what the president's put on the table, this $86 billion in increased taxes on top of the $100 billion increase in Obamacare taxes for next year, doesn't even get us a tenth of the way there. We're $1 trillion in deficit spending. No one's talking about the other $900 billion. That's what we need to focus in on, is how is that going to get solved? That's where business leaders have got to come on board. Also encourage the president as well to say we have got to deal with the spending. We cannot just accomplish this with taxes.
Well, as you've been speaking, Congressman, the Dow has erased almost all of its losses. So we did some good work today. Dow now down 20 points. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Jim Lankford from Oklahoma. The president, as we said earlier, going to be speaking on the fiscal cliff at 11:35 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll get you those comments live coming up in the next hour.